I made my personal finances into a video game, and you won't believe how much it changed my life. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of people managing, saving, and making money? Boring, lame, dull. What other synonyms do we have here? You get the point, but you can make it more fun and easier with just this 12-letter word. Hey friends, I'm Vincent, and I'm here to talk about embezzlement. Damn it, John, wrong topic. I'm here to talk about gamification. Okay, first, we need to understand what gamification actually is because there's a bunch of wrong explanation out there. Since the 1980s, behavioral researchers have been puzzled by the mesmerizing power video games have on the human mind. And you can probably see why. You just worked a grueling 10-hour shift, you go home, you're exhausted, you order a cheeseburger, and for the next couple of hours, you're glued to your TV trying to hit a white pixelated circle across a black screen. But it's not just you, it's hundreds of thousands of other people doing the exact same thing. And this was a shock to the whole system, something completely unprecedented. And so, researchers spent decades meticulously collecting all the data they could from various video games across time, and they discovered two key principles that dictate every game ever made or ever will be made. Gamification is the act of using the hyper-engaging principles developed in video games and finding various ways to implement them into the real world. For instance, managers across industries found clever ways to gamify their work environment with things like visuals to track progress, performance, or even simply offering a reward after a project is done. Visualizing progress and rewarding players are the cornerstones that make a video game so addicting. It's why even some of the more, unconventional games, like a farming simulator where you drive a truck around a farm, or goat simulator where you play as a goat? What the heck, do people actually play these games? Sorry about that. Yes, it's why some of these games appeal to hundreds of thousands of gamers across the world. Let's use Flight Simulator as an example. Besides the beautifully realistic graphics and the hundreds of breathtaking sights, the game doesn't have much to offer in terms of fun. It's literally a flight simulator. You get inside a commercial jet, turn on the autopilot, and you spend literally hours staring at a screen until you get to your destination, and that's it. That's the game. Compare this to GTA 5, where you can get a rocket launcher, steal cars, or punch random people wearing glasses. Wait. But the reason some people prefer to look at an animated sky instead goes back to the two core principles: progress and rewards. Okay, although gamification in video games has been known for decades, it wasn't until the 2010s that it started to go mainstream. And since then, hundreds of studies have proven its efficiency across the business world. In 2014, researchers separated employees across industries into two groups during training. The first group went through a simple, non-gamified training, while the second group went through a gamified one. And after they finished training sessions, they were asked to fill out a survey, and the results were quite shocking. 83% of the employees who went through the gamified training reported feeling motivated, while only 13% who went through non-gamified training did. But here's the most interesting thing. Most articles about applying gamification only applies to your general life and not your financial life, which is a shame because there are three very specific ways to do it when it comes to your personal finance. And the second way is my absolute favorite. Trust me, don't worry if you don't know anything about personal finance, because if you played any video game ever in your life, you already know more about finance and economics than most people. Video games have been teaching you the basic concepts all along, and you probably didn't even notice. Let's take a journey back to the 1990s when this cute little baby got his very first game, Super Mario on the NES. By the way, this cute baby is me. This game taught me one of the most fundamental principles in economics, that a mushroom costs $100. Or a more academic term is value, the worth of something. And since then, games have only gotten more complex with whole economic systems like Age of Mythology, which, by the way, is one of my favorite games. If you ever played it, you are the real one. Comment below your top 3 favorite gods to play with. Mine was Isis, Loki, and Zeus. Age of Mythology is the type of game that takes economic principles to its extremes, and it's about managing your different types of resources very carefully, like food, wood, and gold. Depending on how you collect your resources, your opportunity costs, and your builds, you can amass legions of soldiers and mythical creatures to explore the world and conquer your enemies. Or if you're a noob, then you'll be stuck in your town center with just the villagers standing around. Video games already taught you the very basic fundamentals of personal finance. If you want to learn more advanced stuff like investing, making more money, turn that like button into a beautiful black so you get more of my videos on your homepage. Now let's go over to 3 ways you can make your personal finances into a video game, and the second way is my favorite. Alright, the first method is called questing it up, and it's much easier to understand and implement than it sounds. Think of any RPG game, like Fallout, The Elder Scrolls, or Witcher. What do they all have in common? They all have a main quest broken up into smaller quests that allow you to progress through the main story in the game. Then there are external optional missions that you can do to get stuff like really cool guns or extra gold. The point I'm trying to make is that if you want to beat the game, you need to accomplish the smaller quest in the order the game tells you, so that you can ultimately complete the main quest. Think of the external optional missions like distractions that you could do or completely avoid. Fortunately, in a video game, the game design tells you exactly what you need to do step by step. But unfortunately, in real life, it's not easily laid out. This is why it's vital to sit down with yourself and ask, what do you financially want? If your life were an RPG game, what would be your main financial quest for the next few weeks, months, or years? To reach financial freedom, to get a house, to have a more stable passive income? And what would you need to do to get to the end of your story arc? Which parts of your life are mere distractions or external missions that you can maybe ignore? In 2013, researchers separated participants into 5 different groups, numbered 1 to 5 each with different instructions. The first group came up with unwritten goals, while the rest of the group wrote down their goals in various degrees of detail. Group 5 being the most meticulous, where they wrote down their goals, gave it to a friend, and provided weekly updates. The researchers found that 76% of people who wrote down their goals in any detail completed them, while those who didn't, i.e. Group 1, only 43% of them completed their goals. Now here's how you can do this with your personal finance. Let's say that your main financial quest right now is to buy your first home. Break down the entire process from beginning to end with as much detail as possible. Then write down each step down into a journal, sort of like a quest log. The first side quest might be head to the local bank to obtain a credit card to start building your credit score. The second side quest could be talk to Suzanne at a bank about interest rates. Get as creative and detailed as you can because there are thousands of ways to do this. And once you complete one, you can cross out the side quest and you get that much closer to reaching your main quest. And then that's where the second and my favorite way to gamify your finances come in. Listen, I know this is way easier said than done. It's not easy to sit down and write down your innermost desires onto a piece of paper. But if you push through it, you'll be glad you did, because chances are you're gonna lose track of your main quest over time. You'll get distracted by other things like external missions, life might get in the way, McDonald's could run out of cheeseburgers, and then you get really sad and distracted. But all that matters is that you always come back to your main financial quest, because remember, that's your bigger mission in life that you want, you need, and you will achieve. Giving yourself a reward is a core element of gamification, but there's a very specific way to do it when it comes to money and personal finance. There's a reason the gaming industry has become such a big force in the world. They learned decades ago about how to hack the human brain. Step 1, find a way to manipulate our most ancient circuitry. Step 2, exploit it as much as possible. Step 3, repeat until a habit is formed. Let me explain. Researchers have known for ages that in order to form a habit on lab animals, all they gotta do is train them with positive reinforcements, i.e. rewards. And in a matter of weeks, animals can learn to do complex things. This is how we taught monkeys to solve puzzles or incentivized rats to go through mazes, and even trained pigeons to guide missiles in World War II. Crazy, right? Well, this exploitive system works as well, if not even better, on humans, especially when it comes to money. That's why you can always find someone poking bubbles or swiping on candies to blow them up for hours on end on their phones. There are 3 elements to form any habit: cue, routine, and reward. The cue works as a recognizable signal embedded deep inside your brain. Think of a classic game like Halo. When you open up the game, the main menu, it plays this beautiful melody that many have heard since the very first game back in 2001. Yeah, it's this. This song is the cue that makes you subconsciously want to grab your controller and sit down for a few hours to play the game, i.e. your routine. Now, all Halo has to do is to keep you playing for as long as possible by giving you rewards, usually in the form of a cool new piece of armor or a weapon skin. And now, your brain has associated those positive rewards with the game. Cue, routine, reward. Boom. Habit formed, and that's it. It's that simple. Now, what if you could take advantage of this system, your brain's vulnerability, and use it for good? Form positive habits around personal finance, and then supercharge your path to financial freedom.
$20. I wanted a peanut. $20 can buy many peanuts. Explain how. Money can be exchanged for goods and services.
In 2018, researchers took 2 groups of people and asked them to look for differences between 2 images. The first group was given a reward the moment they solved the puzzle, while the other group was told that they could get the reward a month later. And the results were very telling. Those who were given the immediate reward were 20% more likely to complete the task than those who had to wait. And here's how you can use this knowledge. Let's say your financial goal is to save as much money as possible, and every week you're able to save $250. Now, you could just do that, outright save $250 week after week. But you know as well as I that eventually your motivation will dwindle. You'll get tired, you'll give in, and then you'll eventually stop. So how can you get around this? The trick is to reduce as much friction and displeasure as possible. So here's what you can do. Take a small percentage, like 2 to 5% of what you intended to save, and instead use it to buy something for yourself that you really enjoy. So if you're saving $250 a week, take $5 to $12 of it to buy something small that you really enjoy to get that extra boost in motivation. Sweet chili Doritos, iced latte, or a cheeseburger, whatever. The point is to reward yourself for sticking to your money goals. And the best part is that the more you save, the bigger your reward becomes. Look, finance gurus love to say things like you need to save X, Y, or Z or else the world will end, and then constantly make you feel bad if you don't stick to it. But we're only human, and you actually want to enjoy living your life, which minimizes the chance of you giving up on your financial goals. Now here's a strategy that I developed myself that can make it so much easier to reach financial freedom. Video games like The Walking Dead or Wolf Among Us are essentially a storybook style with many different endings depending on the choices that you make throughout the game. And just like in life, the choices you make at pivotal moments could mean you living a life of financial freedom, chilling on a beach in Thailand, or still grinding it out in your cubicle at 95 years old. Ever since playing these type of games, I found myself thinking about the outcome of every financial choice I make, like a visual branching decision tree. So for example, if I have $20,000, I visualize all the different branches that could spawn out from it. Invest the money buying a car, buying a house, or buying another magic lamp. If I choose the car, then all the other branches stop. They're no longer available. Only the car branch continues and expands with things such as auto insurance, maintenance, gas, me crying in a corner because I didn't need a car and I could have picked up another magic lamp. It's okay. It's okay. Listen, it's not easy to start thinking like this, but here's a few tricks to get you started. First, you gotta know how to use your imagination. Whether you're aware of it or not, every financial decision you make opens up more doors in front of you, and then it closes the ones that you left behind. Think of these financial decisions as a series of doors. Every time you open the door, i.e. make a choice, you can't just go back no matter how hard you try. So the best course of action is to slow down. Examine each door very carefully. Consider what the consequences are and make sure that the door is a good financial fit for you. Did you pick that door because of an impulse? Or because you strategically thought through the pros and cons? If the former, don't worry, it's fine to admit it. We've all been there. But here's a trick that I use to make better choices with my money, as well as minimize these impulse purchases. Whenever I come across these situations, like I'm tempted to buy something really unnecessary, I always stop myself, walk away, and wait 14 days before pulling the trigger. If by the end of the 14 days I still want whatever the item is, I'll strategize about how I can afford it. But here's the trick. 90% of the time, I end up not buying the items at all. And it's that 14-day break that allowed me to really see without bias or external influence whether I'm going down the right door. Like last year, right? I wanted to upgrade my iPhone to the newest model. Mine still worked and all, it only had 2 cameras though, and the newer one had 3. And the more the merrier, right? So whatever, I was gonna pull the trigger, but then I stopped. I waited the 14 days and visually branched out the doors that I would go through if I purchased it or not. If I didn't, what else could I have done with that $1,000? And in the end, I decided to invest that money instead because I realized, without bias or external influence, that I didn't need the new phone. This visualization skill, it's gonna take some time to master. I did not do it overnight. I have bought plenty of useless things in the past, like Batman and Woody over here. But no matter how demotivated you get, just keep at it, and eventually, it will get easier. Look, I understand that none of this is simple to do. When you're playing a game, you're usually the GOAT. You're the chosen one, the Dragonborn, the one sent by Zeus to conquer your enemies. But in real life, you're just you. And not to say you're not special, because you are, to me. But also, you're human. And humans have struggles, vices, and flaws. But being able to gamify even just a tiny aspect of your personal finances will make it much easier to achieve your financial dreams. Look, you will make mistakes. It will happen, and that's fine. But there are some mistakes that you absolutely need to stop because it's what's keeping you from reaching financial freedom. Check out this video on the 6 money traps that I learned from my 4 years of studying economics. And trust me, you won't believe the money traps that you're falling for every single day.